Hello and welcome. He changed the dynamics of Pakistan's feudal politics when he took over in a bloodless coup in 1999, but then faced the challenge of governing a country riddled with a long list of deep-rooted problems. This week on One on One, meet the former Pakistani President, General Pervez Musharraf. Like many who suffered the partition, his family fled the violence in Punjab from India to the newly created country of Pakistan. Pervez Musharraf was a strong, athletic boy who experienced the outside world traveling with his diplomat father. Barely having completed his teenage years, Musharraf entered the military academy, displaying natural leadership skills and rising quickly through the ranks. As a young officer during the 1965 Indo-Pak War, he and his men managed to cross over a few miles into Indian territory. By 1998, then Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif appointed him Army Chief of Staff and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs. But it was direct conflict with Sharif in 1999 that forced the general to take over Pakistan in a bloodless coup and become its president 3 years later. Pervez Musharraf's popularity eventually began to suffer, prompting him to resign and leave the country. General Pervez Musharraf, great to have some time with you.
Thank you very much.
So you still seem to be quite keen on politics. I mean, didn't that time in office give you any concerns, all that pressure, all that compromise?
They did, but I think when I look at the condition of the country, that motivates me to try to go back and do something for it.
Now, Pakistan, of course, is a very difficult country, though. It seems to have more problems than most. What is it about it that makes it so difficult to manage? What is the key element that keeps it so difficult?
I think it's not Pakistan, it's the region. It's the region, what we have suffered in the last 30 years, the impact of the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, and then onwards what all happened in that region, that we were abandoned in 1989. For 12 years there was total catastrophe in Afghanistan. Then onwards 9/11 came in. So all that has been happening in the region. And then with our confrontation with India, nuclear flashpoint. So it's a complex area, and within our society, I think Pakistan is a society of many diversities. So these are issues which complicate happenings, and with the short histories, background, and all the tumultuous events that have taken place in the region, impact of it is on Pakistan.
Now, I know you had a grand vision, perhaps still have a grand vision for Pakistan. There was a phrase in 2002 you introduced, enlightened moderation, referring to how there could be a more moderate version of Islam practice as opposed to embracing extremism. But ironically, the country seems to have gone the other way for a lot of people.
Yes, anyway. That strategy is not one way, it's a two-pronged strategy. While Islam rejects extremism and terrorism and goes for socio-economic development, it is the West and the United States which must solve the political disputes which really are basically which involve the Muslims, and the Muslims are on a receiving end. So it has to be a double-pronged strategy. But since then, yes, we haven't been able to make much headway in either resolution of disputes or on the other side, on the Muslim side, we made a committee of eminent persons, but ultimately it fizzled out, I think.
Do you remain optimistic about Pakistan's future?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I have full faith in the people of Pakistan and the armed forces of Pakistan, because of which I am very sure about its future.
Now let's take you back. You were born in New Delhi under what was British Indian rule, and you were just a young boy, barely turning 4 when the partition happened, and you saw obviously the horror of that event as a young boy. Your family actually caught the last train out, safe train out of Delhi from what I gather, and you ended up in a ghetto in Karachi. What sort of do you remember of that time, that early experience of the way the family went through so much disruption and trouble?
Yes, it was very traumatic indeed. As a young boy, I still remember the dead bodies lying around on the platforms and on the railway lines, wherever the train went through, from Delhi to Karachi, through Punjab especially, through Indian Punjab, the East Punjab. So it was traumatic. But then we were so motivated. We were so motivated at going to our own country, our own land, that I think we were prepared to help each other. We were prepared to sacrifice for each other. So therefore, when we landed up in Jacob Lines in Karachi, in 2 rooms or 2.5 rooms, we were at one time 18 people of the family. sharing a bathroom. So but we were very happy.
How did those early years shape your attitude towards India later in life? Was it something that you carry as baggage?
No, I don't think so. I think from either side, I didn't hold any grudge against India. But of course, when I joined the army and we fought wars, then indeed, well, they were the enemy, all right. But my being from that part of the subcontinent, from Indian side, didn't do any harm to me. In fact, I rose to become the chief. That goes to the credit of the system, the fair, merit-oriented system of Pakistan Army.
Your father actually also rose to the ranks. You came from a civil servant family on that side, your grandfather too. And your father actually became director of Pakistan's Foreign Office, I think, at one stage.
Yes.
What sort of influence did he have on you as a person?
Well, he did have an influence on our character building. He was an extremely honest man and extremely believed in a lot of giving money and sharing troubles of others. So I think that was the habit that he inculcated. In fact, when my elder brother joined the civil service, he told him, if ever I come to know that you've misused your authority or taken any bribes, I'm going to disown you. So this is the kind of environment we've come up with, and he believed in truthfulness, speaking the truth. He always made us speak the truth. So I think that part of our character was developed by my father and my mother also.
Now, as a boy, you were often teased for being like short and chubby, but you excelled at sports. I mean, pretty much everything, including bodybuilding, I gather.
Yes, I became a jack of all trades and master of none. And I used to enter every game and then leave it when you achieved a certain average standard, leave it and go on to the next game. So I became bodybuilding because I used to do gymnastics actually. And we used to have intramural competitions in the college. So everyone, you scored a point for if you got a position. So when there was a bodybuilding competition, they thought that I had a very, very muscular body. So I entered in the Mr. FC college contest.
Now you were the middle son. How did you get on with your siblings?
Well, with my younger brother, he was the pet of the house. With my elder brother, we used to fight a lot, quarrel a lot. Boys normally, without the sobering influence of sisters, are always quarrelsome. They spend their lives fighting each other.
I gather you were a popular lad among the community, and you actually had your sort of close friends, your little gang that you used to hang out with and get up to a bit of mischief with. And I gather you were really the strategist for that gang as well, even at that age.
Yes, I think. I think I liked being with friends, and my friends liked me to be with them. And in our small quarrel, inter-mohalla, inter-area disputes, we used to have flags on the two sides. So I used to make plans of how to grab their flag through an outskirting maneuver, outmaneuvering the front and going to the rear.
Early preparations of the military.
Well, that was, but because I used to run well, so one could go to the rear and run back also without being caught.
You did have a close call, though, as a teenager, a near-death experience when you fell out of a mango tree and got critically injured. Yeah. How did that experience change your perspective on life, even at that early age?
I don't know. I don't think it changed the perspective of my life.
You got badly injured, though, didn't you?
I did get badly injured. I fainted for many minutes, and when I got up, I was lying in the warden's house with many of my friends over my head. Friends later on told me, we thought that you're gone, you're dead, you're making all kinds of sounds coming from the throat.
At what point did the idea of joining the military come up in your life? At what point did you decide that might be a career for you?
It was my mother's influence. I think, first of all, my interest in it, because in Turkey we had two defense attaches. Both of them were very smart, and in their uniforms they used to look exceptionally smart. So I was impressed by that. And then when I came into Pakistan, somehow I wasn't too interested in studies somehow. And my mother decided for the three of us that one of the eldest brother will go for civil services, the youngest for becoming a doctor because of their qualities. Me, he said, you're not interested in studies, you go to the army. And but she never knew that in army you have to study much more than anywhere else.
But you actually did get a lot of respect for being a good soldier and being a respected leader, actually, in the military. And I wonder, was it something that came naturally to you, or did you have to really work at it?
Well, I think leadership is to a large extent inborn. It has to come naturally to you. You can't put on an act. You have to, if your natural behavior, your body language, your behavior with your people, especially with your subordinates, should reflect leadership. But then it gets groomed also within the service. Since I joined the Special Services Group, which is very different from the rest of the army, I was groomed in leadership, I think. That is the best thing that happened to me. It was a very tough life, but leadership got taught also, other than the basics that were probably there in me inherently.
I mean, you rose up through the ranks very quickly and you did very well, but there was a tough time. You have to tell me about this time in 1965 when you took a leave of absence without permission and suddenly they were going to court-martial you.
Yes, well, I wasn't too well disciplined, frankly, and I used to do all these things. I think my wife introduced some sobriety into me. I used to fight a lot. I was interested in picking up fights, and especially when I learned judo and karate in SSG, I used to pick up more fights. So this incident happened before I joined the SSG, and we were in Changamanga, a place in the forest. Probably we were expecting war to break out, and I asked for leave. My father was posted to Kenya, by the way, and I wanted to go to Karachi to meet him. All the others used to go to Lahore or nearby places. They could go for 2 or 3 days. I never went out on leave. So this one I asked for 6 days of leave with prefixing and suffixing Sundays. And this commanding officer of mine refused the prefix and suffix. I just got annoyed at that. I said, look, I'm going so far and my parents are going away. This man has no consideration. So I left on Saturday, irrespective of the fact. Well, when I got back, he started recording my summary of evidence for a court-martial, but then thanks to India, they attacked Pakistan and war broke out. And there I did well, and then the same commanding officer recommended me for a gallantry award.
Now, you had a number of defining moments, but there was the one, of course, the big one where you took over power in Pakistan in a coup in 1999 when Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif then and you clashed. Tell me, I know you've told this story a number of times, but give me the brief, sort of nutshell version of what really happened.
Well, I was coming from Sri Lanka, and when we approached Karachi and we were landing and we came down to almost 7,000 feet, the pilot, through the military secretary, requested me to come to the cockpit, and there he told me that we are not being allowed to land and we are being told to get out of Pakistani airspace. So that is how it started, and we were told to rise to 21,000 feet, which we did. And when we did that, the pilot said, we can't go anywhere outside Pakistan, we don't have enough fuel. So the controversy started with the Prime Minister indirectly. A message used to go to the air traffic controller, he used to pass it to someone and then someone, and ultimately reply used to come in about 5 minutes, and we were consuming fuel. And it all ended finally when the army reacted and took over and then asked me to come back, asked the plane to come back from where it was headed. It was then headed to a satellite airport called Nawab Shah. So halfway down, we were told to come back. When we landed back, we had 7 minutes fuel, and I was told, Pakistan is yours, and you start. Well, I got a shock myself.
You managed to rally your supporters, your troops, basically behind you,
yes,
while up in the air.
Well, I mean, frankly, the troops have always loved me, because I loved them.
Looking back on that situation, would you have handled it differently in any way?
No, I think Pakistan was in dire straits, and it was really fortuitous that Nawaz Sharif acted in the way he did. So I didn't have to do anything unconstitutional or act in a certain way. It was a reaction by the army to the stupidity that he did. So I think he paved the way for whatever happened.
Now, a lot of military leaders around the world have become political leaders, but the two tasks are very different. And when you look back at it, how do you compare the world of politics with the world of the military?
Very different, definitely. We are organized, we believe in decisions, we believe in others abiding by the decisions that the leader takes. We are very leadership oriented. Politicians, each one of them thinks they are a leader, so they all chiefs, no Indians. So
it sounds
there
like
has to be one chief and all Indians.
It sounds like you still think of yourself very much as a military man than more than a politician.
Well, yes, I think I can never forget the military.
Now, when you finally appointed yourself president in 2001, you were open to a lot of criticism for that, because there was the issues of democracy for Pakistan, what happens next. How did you handle all the issues that came up at the time? How were you personally able to handle them?
Well, it came as common sense, frankly, and my urge to learn. I didn't know economy at all. I didn't have the ABCs of economy. I didn't understand what terms they are using. And the main thing that I had to do was to turn the economy around. So therefore, I learnt it the hard way, on job, because I wasn't ashamed of asking anyone, hold on, I haven't understood, explain to me. And then it was all common sense. I realized that it was just common sense when these economists were using all kinds of jargons and terms of balance of payment deficits and fiscal deficits and debt to GDP ratios. When I got involved in it in detail, I came to know that it's merely balancing of incomes, earnings with expenditures. So I told them, what is this? Why don't you say so? And then, well, where do we spend? Here. Where do we earn from? Here. Increase earnings, reduce expense, then everything is all right. Balance of payment deficit, debt to GDP ratio, fiscal deficit, all are all right.
You once compared yourself with the visionary leader of Turkey, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, who was the founder of modern-day Turkey. And I wonder, what of his philosophy do you feel you adopted? What was it that you considered him a mentor?
Well, he saved the sick man of Europe, and he saved the country and took it, raised it to the level of a modern, progressive state. But later on, I came to a different conclusion. Here, having seen Turkey and Iran, what Shah of Iran tried for 40 years and what Kemal Atatürk tried, I deduced what the condition is now in both Iran and Turkey. The Islamists are in power. I came to the conclusion that you cannot impose a change or transition in society. Transition is only you transform. It's a gradual transformation of society. You can never impose change. And they tried to impose change, but actually they managed to do that successfully in a few cities. The rural areas remained the same. So therefore, one should go for a transformation whenever you have a better idea to transform, to change society. You cannot impose, and don't expect massive change through imposition.
What do you feel you achieved as president of Pakistan? What was the single most significant achievement, do you think?
Well, if you say single most significant achievement, I would like to say giving confidence and trust in oneself, giving pride to oneself in the country, in the people of Pakistan. And that was because the economy was doing exceptionally well, and otherwise I succeeded in many ways, but I think that was the basic.
You resigned from the presidency in August of 2008 when things became politically very hot, and you were threatened with impeachment. And I wonder, was there no other option but self-imposed exile at the time?
It wasn't self-imposed exile. I stayed in Pakistan after resigning for good about 6 months, and I didn't leave the country. But I resigned not because of the threats to me. It was more because I thought I will be a totally useless president, sitting there and being abused right, left and center by every politician, while I would not be contributing anything to the country towards its development, or even advising the country, the government on these issues. So why should I be sitting as a useless, just a vegetable around in the presidency? So I thought it's better to quit.
Now, I did the very first interview with you after you took power in 1999. I remember asking you at the time, is there any danger that when you take power like this, that it's very hard to give up that power? And your answer to me at the time was, well, I haven't had the power yet, so it's very hard to tell. When you look back on it, was it hard to give up power?
No, not for me, frankly. I am not so, I don't have such an ego. I don't believe in people coming and saluting me or holding me on a high pedestal. I have my feet on the ground always, and that is how I behaved even when I was the president. Sometimes I forgot that I am the president and others are not. I mingled with people at their level. So therefore, leaving of power was not so difficult for me.
Did you come out of the experience a better person?
I think so. I learned, obviously, in these 9 years, I developed a faith in the country, a trust that the country has all the resources, all the potential, all the human potential to do well, and the failure is only a failure of leadership. That is what I learned. And then, as a person, has developed a knowledge of the country from all points of view on all issues. So I think I certainly now I think I know everything about the country, about what ought to be done. Of course, there is no end to learning, but I have learned a lot, and I know a lot because I involved myself in everything, in strategizing and even working out the modalities, the tactics of development in every field of socio-economic development of Pakistan.
There's always a price to pay for responsibility, and I wonder what it cost you personally to take on the tasks you did.
Well, I think it was certainly tough. In the first 1.5 years, I think I worked about at least 14 to 16 hours a day in 3 shifts, starting at about 8, 9 in the morning till about 2 o'clock at night, 2 or 3 o'clock at night. This continued without any break, even on Sundays, every day, 7 days a week for about 1.5 years, till ultimately the cabinet secretary told me he used to bring agenda points and he said we used to have, every Wednesday we used to have cabinet meetings for about 10 hours, 12 hours. So he said that there is no agenda point left now, we could ease off a little. So that was the kind of, that hard work certainly took a toll on me.
What's on your checklist now to achieve now professionally and personally? What would you like to do?
Personally, professionally, I certainly want to join politics because of what Pakistan is suffering. Not for myself, but for the sake of Pakistan, and that I mean every word of it. I'm very comfortable on my lecture circuits. I don't have to put myself into trouble and maybe endanger myself also. But I'm doing this for the sake of the country because I know that today on the horizon, on the political horizon, there is no leader, there is no party which can deliver Pakistan from its problems. The people available and the parties available are all those who have been tried twice and both times failed miserably and took Pakistan to a state of being a failed state and a defaulted state, and that is what is happening now again. We are going down. So before it is too late, I thought maybe I am able to contribute.
That will, of course, if you do get back into that mix, it will affect your personal goals. Then what would you like to achieve personally?
Personally, there is nothing much to achieve other than I think I've been very fortunate. God has been very kind that I have achieved the highest positions, and more so I have earned respect in Pakistan as well as the world. So I'm extremely thankful to God. I have got good children. So I'm very happy with my surroundings. I have wonderful friends, very sincere friends. So I love an occasional game of golf or tennis or bridge. So I'm very happy. On a personal note, I don't desire anything more.
Now going back to the bodybuilding?
No. Actually, I do use dumbbells and I do exercise very regularly, but not of that level of bodybuilding.
How will history remember you? How do you think history will judge you? And what would you like your legacy to be?
Well, my legacy, history should judge me as a person who took Pakistan out of its troubles, and it should judge me as an honest man, a man who delivered for Pakistan. Well,
Fine. I thank you so much for your time. It was very good to speak with you again.
thank you very much, Riz.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.